A win for the Pacers. The losing streak is over. They crushed mostly the Hornets. They're out of the NBA cellar. The center position shows its importance. Mathurin and Siakam were great. We'll empty the notebook and talk about what we learned from a Pacers win. All coming today on the Locked On Pacers podcast.
You are Locked On Pacers, your daily Indiana Pacers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday, and welcome into another edition of the Locked On Pacers podcast, where we, of course, talk about the Indiana Pacers. As always, my name's Tony East, and I cover the team for Forbes and Circle City Spin. And today, the Pacers won. They're out of the NBA's basement. They have passed the Wizards in the standings. They are right there with the Pelicans, and they beat the Hornets comfortably. Their biggest lead of the season in a game by far. In this one, shots went in by a great magnitude more than any other game this season. Pascal Siakam was very good. Bennedict Mathurin was very good. The bench did actual stuff in this game, a little starting lineup tweak. So many things to get to and what it could mean if they can do it again. What actually happened to lift the team beyond their two best scorers doing their thing? And the answer to that is what I would like to lead this podcast with. And I think what the story of the game would be to anybody. Like, Siakam and Mathurin were very good. I would not say exceeded expectations dramatically. You could say they both exceeded expectations, but exceeded expectations dramatically. One, Jay Huff, who was just spectacular in this game in a way that he had not been all season, quite frankly, at all. 20 points for Jay Huff. Amazingly not his career high. He had a couple threes that would have gotten it for him. His career high is 22, but 20 points from him is obviously fantastic. 3 20-point scores for the Pacers is a good formula for success for them. He made 4 threes. They've been looking for that stretch big element that he hasn't quite provided to the extent they needed this year. In fact, he's shot 26.5% from 3 for the season coming into this game, but he was splashing him in this one. 3 made 2s, including just an absurd dunk on a drive. And I think all 3 of his made 2s, he goes 3 for 4 inside the arc, were on shots where he shot faked a 3 or leveraged his shot and put it on the floor to get around someone. He's barely done that at all this season. 5 rebounds, that's fine. 4 assists, kept it moving. My first Jay Huff notes about assists. We'll actually talk about that play among the many plays that he made in this game. Great defense with 3 blocks. So let's get into the specifics of why this mattered, right? One, player playing very well is better than them not playing very well. Jay Huff's 3 just has to be a thing for this team, right? People remember before the season, there was real debate. Should he start for this team? There's no debate now that he should not be starting, but he just hasn't made 3s at all. Even after today, going 4 for 9, he's now 17 for 53. That's not right. 17 for 58 on the season. He's still below a third of his 3s because he shot it so poorly, but this is what he is capable of entering the season. Reminder that he was at 40% for his career. He's still at 38% for his career with a very slow start to this season. This is a possible outcome for him in a game, shooting the ball. And he did that. And that, of course, the Hornets were more cognizant of getting out to him. That was very important. And that's how he was able to get a lot of his 2s. That dunk was just nasty. The bench went absolutely crazy. And that wasn't like a highlight, obviously, but he did that more than once in the practical sense of getting to the basket. I mean, I just have a lot of little notes about stuff he did like that, right? He's in the middle of the Hornets zone-ish thing. He looks at the basket. He faces up. His man comes up, and he kicks it over to the corner for a 3. His next play, a block on defense, then a drive for a bucket. Like, look at that. Connecting his team, doing all sorts of things. His defense was really good in this game. Obviously, 3 blocks is important, but because Jay Huff anchored the back of a zone. They went zone with him out there. You've seen it a lot with him this season where just like he, for all the things he can do protecting the rim, he's a little slow-footed, so he can get beat on drives. When he's pulled away from the basket, his defensive effectiveness really nosedives. Well, guess what? If you play zone, you're guarding the zone around the basket, especially if the Pacers try to keep passes out of the corner, force those guys to cut towards Jay Huff. Great, he got some blocks there. That was extremely effective for him and keeping him to be better. Now, it helped that the Hornets couldn't make a 3 at all to shoot over that zone in this game. Hornets ended making some 3s and still shot below 30%, but that might be a way to keep up there. And I mentioned this after the Pistons game. Keep an eye on more zone coming from the Pacers. I thought they deployed it a lot in that game. They did it again in this one. And so those strategy choices were helpful for Huff. His actual effectiveness was better for Huff, and it was just very lifting for the team. They started him in the second half over Isaiah, who also, we'll talk about, actually played a decent game. But it was really good for the Pacers to have a center do that, right? So first of all, anyone scoring 20 plus when Mathurin and Siakam both do is going to be a huge lift for the team, but it gave them a better floor on both ends. That like Isaiah was fine. Tony Bradley fouled too much, but was largely fine. Like they had good enough center play for the whole game. Ryan Kalkbrenner's made like every shot he's taken this entire season. He had a bunch of rebounds. He's not a great defender. Obviously, this isn't like a murderer's row of opposing bigs. Moussa Diabate is a beast on the glass, but they all played good games, and Huff was the leader of it by far, making everything, getting everywhere, and actually defending in a way that is meaningful and made the bench unit way better. They got stops out of the zone. They could run. They could use some pace. They looked a little more Pacers-y in that way. And so that is obviously the micro, is that Jay Huff was really good. And that mattered a lot. Like I have a lot of just generic Jay Huff notes. Jay Huff, hell of a half. Jay Huff, tidy pass for a corner three. I already mentioned that. Isaiah Jackson closed the game, was very good there. Tony Bradley made a long in rhythm too. The centers were like jumper long too. A lot of stuff from the bigs, and we'll actually talk about a negative thing from the bigs in a minute, but that were very encouraging. And it made me wonder, like, man, like how important is this to them? Like Jay Huff, game score is a flawed-ish statistic, right? But it's Basketball Reference's way of like grading an individual play. Tony Bradley's best game by game score, very close. That was the game in Minnesota where he was just spectacular. They almost won that game on the back of him, right? And when they were dreadful for a lot of the night. Isaiah Jackson's best game, they could have beat Milwaukee that night. One of his best games by game score when they did beat Golden State. And now, of course, Jay Huff's is going to be this win by probably a significant amount. Isaiah Jackson has some games where I'm like questioning why the game score was so high, because I think he just hit the glass a lot in a game that they were getting pummeled anyway. But regardless, like you can look through this to say good center play really boosts the Pacers. And you could zoom out and go, duh, good play at a position where they're, the most wobbly and are looking for answers is obviously going to be a big deal. But it kind of just unlocks the whole team to me, right? Think back to that Minnesota game where Tony Bradley is 6 for 7, but he also making good defensive plays. He's standing in, getting offensive rebounds. He's battling with Gobert. So now all of a sudden a really good defender is occupied there, and the whole Timberwolves operation kind of shifts. And hey, Tony Bradley's kind of battling on defense too, and Minnesota only scores 114. That really unlocked the whole team on both ends. Isaiah Jackson against Golden State, when they won that game, he wasn't making shots necessarily, but a ton of rebounds, 10 points, good stuff. Like he was very productive in that game against the Bucks that they lost at the buzzer, but 10 rebounds, 21 points, 2 steals and a block that game. He was battling Miles Turner very well and neutralizing that kind of element of Milwaukee, a threat around the basket that opened up the floor other places. Like you don't get 12 2-point attempts off because you aren't helping your teammates do important things. And of course, Jay Huff tonight is opening up the floor with spacing, is actually making some tidy passes to keep the offense going. Good passing game from all the centers, honestly. And I know Jay Huff was the best center in this game, but Isaiah Jackson down the stretch was brilliant. He closed the game and was hitting the glass really hard late and had 4 blocks in this game. They all dealt with foul trouble. That would have been the story of the game had the Pacers lost to me. Early second quarter, Jay Huff gets in foul trouble. They sub him out for Tony Bradley. Tony Bradley comes in, immediately fouls, gets himself into foul trouble. He comes out for Isaiah Jackson. I might have the order wrong. Actually, I think it was Huff, Jackson, Bradley. And then Bradley fouled again. They went back to Huff. And in the end, it ended up helping them because it got them Jay Huff on the floor for even longer. That's a lot of, over explanation of it, where they were all too jumpy on some 2-pointers. But in the end, that kind of helped them all settle in defensively. Isaiah, again, was very good to close. So this is all to say, I think that Isaiah has some games where he was awesome on the glass, and that's like kind of inflating his game score. Regardless, the stat that Basketball Reference uses to potentially track your best game shows if they have a center that plays pretty well, it unlocks a lot of the rest of their team and at least gives them a chance to be competitive. And in that Warriors game, like it's not like Tony Bradley wasn't effective. He had 5 points and 6 rebounds against the Warriors. So they had a lot of productive play at the 5 spot against Golden State in their first win of the season. They had a lot of, between Isaiah Jackson and Jay Huff, productive play tonight in their win against the Hornets. It's not that simple. And these guys are by default like all career backups, right? They are all going to be inconsistent at times or matchup dependent or something. We're talking about 3 different games for 3 different guys, but this game showed again that center play can unlock the Pacers if they get good center play from any of these guys. And if they get it from multiple guys, which they did in both of their wins, that really ups their chance of playing well. Credit to Jay Huff for being like really, really good. This was probably the best individual performance by a Pacers center this season. Maybe Isaiah against Milwaukee. And Tony Bradley, of course, in Minnesota was good, but did not meet those levels. But a great performance from Jay Huff, more proof of concept for the importance of the center position to the Pacers, and a win, number 2, for the Pacers who play the Cavs on Friday. Let's talk about the 2 guys, well, really 3, but 2 guys who were awesome early. Nembhard's going to sneak into this discussion. Siakam was great. Mathurin was great. They're unlocking the Pacers offense just a little bit. They're threats all over the court. We got to talk about that coming up here on Locked On Pacers. But first, let me tell you about 2 great groups of people. First up is Quo. Let's talk about something every business owner knows too well. Missed calls. So when a customer tries to reach you and can't get through, that's money slipping away. Quo, Quo, is the smarter way to run your business communication so you never miss an opportunity. They're the #1 business phone system built for 2025, not 1995. It's simple, modern, and designed to help you communicate faster, look more professional, and stay connected wherever you're working. Quo works right from an app on your phone or your computer. No extra devices, no clunky landlines. Your whole team can share one number and collaborate. They have built an AI that's a game changer. And if you can't answer, that agent will jump in, get you quality leads, route calls, make sure no customers left hanging. Over 90,000 businesses are already using Quo, and you can try it for free at quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's quo.com/LockedOnNBA. And yes, you can even use an existing number. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. Let's also quickly talk about Rugiet. Let's be real. Making excuses does not solve a thing. We've all heard it before. It's just stress. I'm tired. It happens to everybody sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. That's where Rugiet comes in. They offer fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. It's so easy to get started with Rugiet. You connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online, no awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships directly straight to your door and discreetly. The process is fast, simple, and private, handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. Back here on Locked On Pacers, thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day. Your second listen, Locked On Hornets. Hear about Ryan Kalkbrenner continuing to just never, ever miss a shot. Con Knippel being just unbelievably good. That dude is going to be, he already is really good and a stud. Or the benching of LaMelo Ball for crunch time because, quite frankly, Colin Sexton was better than him in this game, and Sexton wasn't even that particularly great. But Ball and Sexton both struggled, which is related to something that we will talk about later that the Pacers actively chose to do. 3 guys were really important to the Pacers' non-Jay Huff division for scoring in this game. I'm going to repeat this note later because it's a part of the game flow that ended up from my notes here. But the first 20 points of this game, 2-0, all came from one of Mathurin, Nembhard, or Siakam. And those 3 ended up finishing with 62 out of the 127 points, nearly half. If you count in Huff, it's like 3/4 of their points from 4 players. The Pascal Siakam was plus 25. I'm not saying Mathurin and Nembhard played bad because they were the minuses, but Siakam has these kind of games where when he has the steady drip going of some points here, some points there, beat you here, beat you this guy, step up late with important shots in crunch time, where he just looks amazing and so steady. And you walk out looking at, his stat line of 22 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. It's like, that's not so incredible. You're not like, holy cow, Pascal Siakam. But he, first of all, 7 for 9 on twos is awesome. And this is just like, to me, the perfect way to describe what makes him good. 7 first quarter points, 4 second quarter points. As you can tell, I'm going through them all one at a time because I forgot to run down 3 third quarter points. And of course, crunch time, like I mentioned, he was good with 8. But it's not like, I'm not saying one is better than the other. But what Mathurin did in Detroit, he had, a flurry, whatever it was, 14 points like that to start the fourth quarter. That's the difference between him and Siakam's bigger scoring games to me is Siakam is just this slow, steady drip throughout a full game. Little more. Whoever's on the floor with him. The starters early. Great. He can be more of a fill-in setup man, score when he's needed. That group knows how to play together. Nembhard, Mathurin, Siakam together just works, right? And then when it's him in the bench, he knows he's going to have to be a little bit better. And it helped that the bench was great today. McConnell was awesome. I feel bad that he's going to get really buried a little because Huff and some other guys were so good. But McConnell, his best game of the season, Huff made shots, and Siakam could just piece his way through that group. So the Shepherd, Siakam, McConnell, Huff, and then regardless, whoever the fifth player was, a lot of times it was Jarris. That group was really good for the second unit. And it's possible because Pascal Siakam is very good, right? He did so many things well in this game, and there was just not a good answer for the Hornets to slow him down. If he made more threes, he could have easily had a 30-point game. Everything he did was great, and that's what the Pacers need him to be, right? When you see the start of the game going as well as it does for that that's a really big deal for the Pacers. And so, I think that Siakam is just, I'm going to keep calling it the steady drip for him, because that really, I think, was the way the Pacers steadied the ship a lot. Like the Hornets made 2 surges in the second half. Another thing that will come up in the notebook, Pacers lead got up to 24, and then it drops all the way down to like 12-ish. And then in the fourth quarter, it's up to 23, and then it's 8-0. And Siakam is the answer to a lot of those problems. He just finds a way to score here, got to stop there, and the Pacers are fine. He was great. Ben Mathurin was also great. He was a key part of their start. With that group, he finished with 24. I think a third of them came in the first quarter. Nembhard had 8 points in the first quarter, 5 in the first quarter for Mathurin. He didn't miss. He's just been a beast. It's crazy. Here's how good Ben Mathurin has been. I know everybody will know this. Everybody understands math. But when you say the sentence, it sounds crazy. 24 points for Bennedict Mathurin today. His scoring average is going to go down, right? Like, that's crazy. That's the kind of season that he's having and that he is capable of with this group. And like I said before the season, people kept saying, oh, he's going to score 20 points a game. And I was like, maybe. I think that he played a lot of minutes last season, and people thought that he would be playing like a way bigger bump in minutes per game. Like his jump in minutes is only 3 per game right now, but his roll jump has been big, and they've needed him more than I thought. And so it's very possible he scores 20 points a game. Got to the line a bunch, over a third of the Pacers free throws. He's just been awesome, both pre and post return from injury, at getting to the line at will, sticking threes basically every game, looking like himself. He looks really, really great. And he did again in this one. And he just has these surges where it's like, oh, there's Ben Mathurin. They cannot stop him. They cannot stop him. Today it was the second quarter, 11 points in 10 minutes, a bunch of free throws, 4 rebounds. He was plus 12 in his 10 minutes in that quarter. Again, that's the difference. Siakam is going to have 10, 15-point quarters at times. I think Mathurin is much more capable of them, right? It's that people use the term microwave scorer, which is like very reductive, but Mathurin has that kind of ability in him. 24 for him, leading scorer again, and 12 rebounds. I talked about this a few seasons ago when people talk about Pacers rebounding all the time when it was bad. And I said that they largely, even outside of center, do not have good rebounders on the team besides Ben Mathurin. That is one of his best skills. They really missed him for that 2 seasons ago when he was hurt with that shoulder injury. He's very good at this for a guard. He was very excellent on the glass today with 12. And I think their best of any, regardless of position, rebounder in this game. TJ McConnell should not be second on a team in rebounds ever. Mathurin doubled McConnell. Like the Hornets, that was their best thing going for them in this game. 22 offensive rebounds for Charlotte, but Mathurin ended possessions. He just all around was very good. And then, of course, Andrew Nembhard, he's got to start making shots at some point. 6 for 15, 40% for him in this game with 16 points, but 7 assists. The turnovers were too high. He had a really ugly one late that Ben Mathurin saved with the play of the game, perhaps, besides the Jay Huff dunk. Colin Sexton steals this not good at all Andrew Nembhard pass. He's about to lay it up to cut it to 6. And Ben Mathurin sprinting. He's flying. Jay Huff joked post-game that when they watched the replay of it, it looked like it was on 2x speed. Mathurin gets back, gets just enough into Sexton's airspace. I don't know if they registered this as a block because I don't know if he actually touched the ball, but he disrupted him enough and got enough in the play that it's a chase down play, I will say. Maybe he touched the ball. Regardless of what the individual part of that is, he made a miss. And the Pacers got the ball back, and then Nembhard made up for his mistake to some extent by scoring. Those 3 were great. Nembhard being, the least effective of the 3, but the trio stepping up in a very major way is important. And I talked yesterday about lineups, and I will again in a second in this third segment, but staggering them gives them just chances to have threats on the floor at all times, right? Even if Nembhard's been inefficient, he is a scoring threat. Obviously, Siakam is, and obviously Mathurin has been and is. And so when they have all 3 available for just the third time of the season, Oklahoma City, Detroit in this game, and one of those games went to double overtime. They're almost, 2-1 in those games. Like, you really see that they're able to be potent for 48 minutes. And they were again today. You see a lot of the stagger. Their second most played lineup had Nembhard and by possessions, to be clear, had Nembhard and Mathurin. Obviously, their first most played lineup was the starter. Their third most played lineup had all 3 guys. Their fourth most played lineup was the Siakam bench group. Their fifth one has both Siakam and Nembhard. Their sixth one has both, or all three. Their seventh one has Siakam and Mathurin. That's just smart ways to do this. And so all three of them playing pretty well helps, and having two of them on the floor most of the time, some Siakam plus bench groups being the exception. Really smart rotational strategy from the Pacers. All three of them played well and had individual moments, and the Pacers have a second win. Let's empty the notebook. Ben Sheppard started, and the Pacers played pretty well as an opening unit. Some really good shooting from the Pacers. There are big leads, some things that did not necessarily go so well, and so much more to close out today's Locked On Pacers. But first, I got to tell you about two more groups of people. First up, Skims, who announced recently they're making underwear for men, and it's perfect. I have 5 pairs now. Like I've said, most people stick to what they've been buying since college when it comes to their style of boxers. Same fit, same waistbands, that roll, a lot of settling. Skims Men's will change that for you. One upgrade, and you'll see why I'm talking about it so much and why I bought more after the first 2 that I got. You get the hype right away. They feel good. They fit right. They stay put. They don't slip. They don't sag. You don't have to adjust them or roll them or anything like that. They're just great underwear. That makes you feel comfortable and confident all day. The stretch 3-inch boxer briefs or the stretch 5-inch, both have been fantastic for me. The fit and the fabric is great. They're soft. They're supportive. They don't ride up. They don't lose their shape. You don't expect underwear to be a game changer, but Skims will surprise you. Whether you're traveling, working out, hanging out at home, they'll be great for you. So shop Skims Men's now at skims.com. When you place your order, choose podcast in the post-purchase survey and select this show from the drop-down menu to let them know we sent you. Plus, the Skims holiday shop is open. So if you're looking for the perfect gifts this season, Skims has you covered. Let's also talk very quickly about FanDuel. The NBA season is here. The basketball is back, and there is no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of a game or whatever you want to watch, and you just want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who's going to score next to fourth quarter comebacks and so much more. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every single game more exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And we're back here on Locked On Pacers. Thanks for making us your first listen today and every single day for your second listen. Of course, some great action around the NBA again. Toronto keeps winning. The Toronto Raptors are second in the Eastern Conference, 5th win in a row. You can check out Locked On Raptors for more on that. They beat the very banged up Sixers. The Eastern Conference standings are just hilarious. I made a joke to somebody after the Pacers won. I said, hey, they're only 6 games out of the play-in. And you check to see the teams tied for that spot. And it's the Celtics, the Magics, and the Bucks. The Magics. What? And the top of the East has Toronto and Detroit and Philly's up there. And Chicago's playing well and it's probably going to beat Portland tonight. Last time I checked, the East is crazy. The East is crazy. Okay. Notebook time. 1, the starting lineup. I mentioned on yesterday's show and talking about optimizing lineups, how I would kind of approach that, what I think the Pacers will do, that I would start the group that started in Detroit. Jackson, because he's young and has the highest ceiling of the centers. Siakam, Walker, Mathurin, Nembhard. That'd be my group until Nesmith returns, obviously. The Pacers did 4 of the 5. Jackson stayed in the starting lineup instead of Bradley. Siakam, Mathurin, Nembhard are just given, no matter who the other 2 guys are. But they went with Ben Sheppard in this game. Now, a lot of the case for Walker and Sheppard are the same draft class, same general effectiveness in their career. This specific game, we learned post-game, and I actually wondered this. I have proof. I tweeted, or Blue Sky posted this to somebody before the game. So this is not a post-game thought. I said, I wonder if they're doing this because of LaMelo. Like I mentioned with Ben Sheppard after the Raptors game, he did not defend Brandon Ingram very well. Those big wings get him, but he's good at defending guards. He handled quickly pretty well. Put him on LaMelo, see how it goes. Obviously, LaMelo was tall. Ben Sheppard started really good first quarter. He was great to start this game. He has got to make threes at some point. I know that comment is coming. He did not make threes again. He was 1 for 5. One of the makes came in the first quarter. 7 points and a rebound, and really, really, really good defense early. LaMelo Ball starts the game 1 for 6 from the field, and he never got it going all night. He was not only defended by Ben Sheppard in this game. A lot of other players got reps on him. Obviously, Nembhard got some, for example, but that was a good reason to do it. And Carlisle confirmed post-game that that's why they did that. He said lineup fluidity is going to be coming, and the change today was about matchups, which was expected. Sheppard did very well in that way. So he's not who I predicted would start, but Ben Shepherd played very well early. And these starters, the way they played, felt like last season's basketball just a little bit more. So also making shots helps. The Pacers made 16 of their 38 threes. That's the most they've made in a game this season. I think that's their best percentage in a game this season. A lot of stuff's going to feel better when that happens, but that starting group did look good. Those three guys are a lock. I think they'll keep starting Isaiah if his ceiling remains very high. If Shepherd can guard like that, or there is a matchup for him like that, yeah, it makes sense to give it to him. But I think they'll go back to Jarris at some point. But a good group. They had some nice closes. A lot of stuff went pretty well. Rick Carlisle was happy with the defense. I asked him about the offense postgame because this was their highest shooting percentage in a game this season by quite a bit, like 7-8%. This was their best 3-point percentage. They had some issues with turnovers, stuff like that. And he didn't even go to offense. He said, no, our defense is what was much better in this game. And it got them to their offense, which is, of course, very important. The Pacers, 16 points off of turnovers. Obviously, the Hornets had more because the Pacers had more turnovers, but 21 fast break points for the Pacers in this game. They actually got into the paint a lot using their pace to do so. Just a lot of stuff that tracks well statistically for the Pacers in terms of their style. And so having that defense, a ton of blocks to end possessions, 8 of those. They, destroyed the Hornets on the defensive glass, 33-26. The Hornets obviously did well on the offensive glass. Like they ended possession strongly enough and got out and ran from them. And that helped a lot. Their zone gave them a chance to go on runs. I mentioned this a couple of games ago, and since then they actually have gone on runs. But a lot of times they fall behind early and they just can't punch back. They cannot score 7 points in a row or anything like that. They did that many times in this game. So their defense was better. Carlisle said, quote, whole team stickier on defense, unquote. So that was good stuff from the Pacers in this game. The shots were really fun, though. 7 made threes in the first quarter. They made a bunch of their early looks. Their paint pressure was really good. Obviously, their first 20 points, like I mentioned, came from those 3 premier scorers. And the other shift for them that allowed them to score 70.5 and allow less than 60, that's a huge step up for them. The bench was scoring. I already did the Jay Huff part. Jeremiah Robinson-Earl made his only 3-point attempt. Jarris Walker made 3 threes and half of his shots. He's been better the last 2 games. Tony Bradley made a jumper. And TJ McConnell. I feel so bad burying him down here. He was great. 6 for 6, made 2 threes. He only made 1 the whole season entering this game. After the second one, Pacers or Hornets, I forget who, called timeout. McConnell goes to the opposite end of the floor from his team's bench. His arms go straight up in the air. He's getting the crown of the game, and they show a replay of it, slow motion. And he very clearly says, finally, you can tell he felt like himself with the baskets. 8 assists for McConnell in this game, too. The bench was really humming. TJ McConnell, a big part of that, and that made everything really blend together for them statistically and as a team. Last couple notes, a couple things that broke up from the typical rhythm of Pacers games recently. One, a huge lead. The Pacers are up 24 in this game. That is now by far their highest lead of the season. Their previous biggest was when they were up 50-36 against the Dallas Mavericks about halfway through the second quarter. They absolutely should have won that game in Dallas. It is absolutely crazy how cold they went. So the lead that they got over 20, by far their biggest. But then, at one point they're up 24. They give up a 24-1 run. In the third quarter, they give up another 14-ish point run in the fourth. That is also unusual. They haven't played from ahead hardly at all, but in the second half, giving up 2 massive runs has been different. They've given up 1, and usually it's just over at that point, and it's just half competitive the rest of the way. 2 really ugly stretches in the second half, but for statistical tracking reasons, the closest the Hornets got this game was 7 in the fourth quarter, which means that this game is not a clutch game. The Pacers won a game comfortably, no crunch time. It almost looked like it was going to be until that Mathurin play that I mentioned earlier. So all around good win for the Pacers. A lot of guys, basically everybody who played, literally everybody who played contributed something. They're going to need that kind of team effort to keep winning this season, but their 3-headed monster was good. They needed a couple other guys to step up, and they got it from McConnell and Huff. Ben Shepherd had 15 points very quietly, and that's win number 2 for the Pacers. Last thing I want to say, and I want to do it after a win, because it would be stupid to do it when they're just losing, and people keep commenting this. People keep, they lost 8 games in a row, and people kept commenting no, Tony, hang in there, man. It's going to be a long season. Guys, I'm fine. This is my job. I love the games. Even when the Pacers stink, I love the games. I love covering the games. I love talking about the games. I get great enjoyment of any team quality. I've done way more losing than this. They lost 12 in a row to end 2021-22. I'm fine. It's okay. We're all going to be fine. Basketball's fun. This game was fun, and the Pacers are 2-13. With the Cavs coming Friday, I will be in Cleveland for some NBA Cup action, the first game since they played each other in the playoffs last season. We'll see how much revenge is on the mind for a currently pretty banged up Cavs team, or if the Pacers can get some momentum going with their first road win and second straight win. You can find me on social media at Tony R. East and this podcast at Locked On Pacers. Back tomorrow talking more about this surging team, hopefully with a guest. And then, of course, from Cleveland Friday night. Thank you all so much for listening today. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. We'll see you very soon.